following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. A's Baseball, past, present, and future. I'm Ralph Tyko with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and the host and hostess are here. The hostess with the mostess, Nancy Finley.
Hello.
How are you?
Always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, pleasure to have you, of course.
Thank you.
And Jerry Feitelberg, the host. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's great. I'm feeling great, and it's always fun to be on the phone with you and Nancy.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun on air, but we enjoy our conversations off air probably as much or more.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign. Is that it's not a chore, that we're having fun with this, and if we're having fun, whoever's listening is going to have fun or not. It's whether we're having fun. That's the point. And
I want you to know that my son has said I'm getting pictures together, so he can have a sit down and put more on the website.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. I like that.
That will be the podcast. I just want to get everything together with him because I have to catch him.
The one I want you to put on there, tell him to scan it, is the one that you sent me that I have up on my wall. It's the one taken with your Uncle Charlie, Jack Benny, and the Village Idiot. But Mr. Kuhn, the Village Idiot.
Oh, he looks like he's having fun, huh?
But yes, he always does. He's got this blank look on his face, like it's all escaping him. But that aside, for those of you who have never heard this, I attended the game that the aforementioned Mr. Benny threw out the first ball, Game 6 of the 1973 World Series. My New York Mets lost the game, and I left the Coliseum heartbroken. I knew for a fact that the tide had shifted and the Mets were going to lose the next day, so they did, and the dynasty continued.
What did you tell? What now? I have explained to the younger generation who Jack Benny was.
If you have to explain it, it's like telling a joke. If you have to explain the joke, it just ain't going to be funny. For those of you who want to know who Jack Benny was, he was the comedian with the best timing, pure out timing for a joke who ever lived.
Yeah.
That says it all. Get on the internet. Am I right, Jerry?
I'm having trouble hearing Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry. Jerry, did you have a paper cup and a string or what? Nancy, did I make you laugh? Because Jerry can't hear me.
Yes. I'm glad I wasn't the only one hearing Jerry.
Okay, Jerry, I want you to hang up and call again. Would you? I think he's going to do that.
Okay, good. Because I thought I was the only one hearing that.
I thought I had a stroke, Nancy.
Oh no!
No. I'm okay. I thought we'd have to call the paramedics and you'd be talking to him. He's only doing a podcast. I don't know why.
I know that was a strange sound.
It was a strange sound. Jerry has strange sounds on his Connect sometimes.
I wanted to tell you that I have a picture of Jack Benny, who happens to just be in the middle of Charlie and Charlie Jr. having an argument, and it is so funny. Did I send you that?
No, you didn't. I didn't even know there was a Charlie Jr. And where is he?
He's having health problems. Last I heard, he was staying at a Wendy's he owns in Indiana.
Oh.
His wife passed away. They lived in Wyoming. And
that's quite a life.
Yeah, it is. But it's so funny because Charlie Jr. is saying something to Charlie about some problem in the Coliseum, and Charlie's giving him this intense look, and Benny, the game's about to start, and Benny's in the middle of him with his arms crossed. Glasses.
Oh, wow. I'd love to see that.
Yeah,
with his arms crossed. That was typical of him on stage with the one arm with the hand up on his chin.
Yeah, and he has this look like, I'm not getting in the middle of this one. It's so funny. So funny.
Right.
So have them have that issue with Benny in the middle. It's so funny.
All right. Well, Nancy, I want to, while we wait for Jerry to come back, are you there, Jerry?
What?
Jerry, we can't hear you. Would you please hang up and call on a landline? Okay, I'm going to continue the conversation with Nancy until you call back. It's podcast radio. We have problems. It's all on the internet, and stuff happens.
I don't know cell phone.
These telephone lines, Comcast, for instance, is crazy making.
Yeah, I don't use my cell phone for this. Just think, I never know what'll happen. Okay.
Absolutely, you never know. You never know. So, Nancy, say this was your last day on Earth. What would you like the folks to know about your dad and or Charlie that you haven't mentioned yet on the air?
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
That's much better.
Oh, okay, good. That's just a regular landline instead of a cell phone.
You put a little hole in the paper cup?
Yeah, I guess so.
You could do a song.
Because that makes all the difference. And you tie the string, and you go across the street, you go, hello, Jerry. I'm back on the podcast.
It was stranger than that.
Yeah, it was, because you cut off, and I was telling Nancy at first I thought I had a stroke. You scared me.
Well, I have to tell you that I love Jack Benny. As a child, I listened to him on the radio, and of course, this is before Nancy was born, way back in somewhere between 1947 and 1950. They used to do the radio program before they did TV. We used to have questions like, what did Jack Benny really look like? What does Mary Livingston look like? We had no idea.
The radio, your imagination would have to take over. It was great.
Oh, absolutely. And then when they took the show to TV, they just transferred the radio program to TV. But you could see Don Wilson, you could see Dennis O'Day. Was it Dennis Day? Dennis Day.
Dennis Day.
Yeah, and
he had like 9 kids or something like that. He was a good Catholic boy.
Oh yeah.
They'd laugh at him behind his back.
Then he just had to stand there. He was funny.
Oh yeah. Well, that was his Benny. He in many instances he was just a straight man, and he would cross his arms and he put his hand to his temple, and people would laugh. He didn't have to do anything. He just, as Ralph mentioned earlier, was a master of timing.
I told Ralph,
and you know who he became the spitting image was Johnny Carson. He would just look and what have you. And like you say, they weren't afraid, both of them, to play the straight man and let the guest or let the comedian on who get the laughs, because as Bud Abbott would tell you, were he alive, it's all in the setup.
Oh, absolutely. You brought up Johnny Carson, and on YouTube I had the pleasure of watching Johnny do the interview with Charlie Finley.
There were several. I can't find all of them, but that one is great, isn't it? I mean, he liked.
I'll look for
Charlie.
that.
He liked.
I'll
Charlie
look
a
for
lot.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, Charlie was wearing a green jacket. I wonder why, right?
My kid said he looks like a leprechaun.
But he was pretty broad-shouldered, though.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean literally?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. You know what? That's a Finley thing. And Taylor has it. We have broad shoulders. We cut out the shoulder pads of our clothes. I mean, I run into things with my shoulders.
Does Taylor object to cutting out the pads on his clothing?
No. No, mine, like women's, they're always padding the shoulders, and we have to cut ours out.
Now you have to explain things to me. Let me finish before Jerry is going to do an analysis of the A's in their first few days in spring training.
Tell Jerry about my Benny picture. I told you
about
I
heard
want to talk
that.
about your Benny picture, but I want to ask you, Nancy, is there anything we've done this show for almost 2 days ago, right?
Yes. Okay,
no, a long time. We 5-6 months of doing this, and it's
about
fun
Dad
as hell.
and Charlie.
Yeah. Anything about Dad and Charlie that you'd want the audience and Jerry and I to know that we just don't have an idea about, that you haven't talked about yet?
I don't talk about it enough. It was Dad ran the team here. Charlie ran it from, up above. I don't know. But the fact that we did what we did with as little staff as we did, really just two people in charge, and accomplished what we did with 3 World Series in a row, I still feel like it's not out enough. It needs to. People need to be aware of how remarkable that is.
Well, it was very remarkable. There's no question about it. And, Ralph brought up the 1973 World Series against the Mets.
Oh, yeah.
And what was interesting about that was that the Mets barely played over 500. I think they had a 508 winning percentage, but they won the championship in the playoffs. And I thought and many other people thought that the A's would either sweep them or take it in 5 games, and yet it went to 7. And they were, it was a very tight series. The Mets could have won it.
7. I know, 7.
It was Willie Mays' last stage.
Last game, last era.
It was Tom Seaver not performing in a clutch manner, and I got to say, I'm a Tommy Terrific guy. Would have been nice to win for me as a fan. For a variety of reasons. The Mets were burdened with injuries and military call-ups and what have you in the early part of the season. Harrelson spent a lot of time either hurt or in the reserves. Cleon Jones got hurt, missed the predominant part of the season. And they kept asking the New York papers for the heads of Yogi and Cashman. They had a poll in the paper every day. When is he going to be fired? Should we fire him? X's and write in your ballot and stuff. Tough to be in New York.
Ralph, do you have your Met 68 or 669 trophy of those guys? The guys?
Pardon me?
The Danbury Mint, I believe it's them, sent Dad a gift of when they named the 73 our team to their category, like the team of the year, and the Mets had one in '69 where they received they had statues on a piece of wood.
Oh.
You should have one if you're a Mets fan.
I should. Indeed, there's a lot of things I should have as a Met, whether I'm a Met fan or.
Yeah, interesting.
Or not.
Yeah, what some years are considered better than others, depending. I mean, like Sports Illustrated said our 74 was the team of the century, and then this Danbury Mint said 73 was their favorite. So you never know. But
well, Nancy, I'll tell you, anything that reminds me of those days would be incredibly treasured. I live in a world where the walls are covered and the shelves are stacked with baseball memorabilia, and they all evoke.
Do you have the book, The Swinging 73?
I don't.
I'll give you that book.
I'll tell you what I don't have. I gave away earlier in my life is a program that the A's had, a World Series program in '73 with the A's and the Mets.
Wow.
I would someday I'll come up with that.
I'll look for that because actually Matthew Silverman wrote the book. Swinging 73. He's a diehard Mets fan, and he interviewed me. But I thought it was
I've had him on the show. The year of '70. Why it was such an incredible year. He talked about three teams. He talked about the Mets. Mm-hmm. He talked about the A's, and he talked about the Yankees. Am I correct?
He must have been hyping his book then.
Pardon me?
He must have been up there hyping his book, if that's the reason.
It must have been, but I had him on my podcast, and
I like him.
He's a very charming guy, and he is a Met fan. And we talked. This was way before you and I got together on the show.
Nice man. He wrote that book. He sent me an autographed copy because he interviewed me, and I thought he did a very fair interview. And at the time, I wanted to tell him, about some things that I knew, and he kept saying he was going to have to write the status quo unless I told him, and I had to let him write the status quo because I wanted to have it in my book. But at least he told me. He was upfront about it.
Nancy, anything in your book, anything not in your book that you wish you had put in it?
Well, I have half that's edited that's waiting for an expanded edition, so I intended.
Well, give us a little tease. What would you say? Would Chuck and Me? That's not going to be a chapter.
Okay.
But give us a little tease.
This deviates a little bit from baseball, but it's about 1965, and it's called Go Ask Alice.
Go Ask Alice. Now, who was Alice?
Okay.
Well, that's from the song lyrics. Go Ask Alice.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right.
My mom compared her to Helen of Troy.
Oh, it's not from the song lyrics. Okay.
Okay.
It is.
That was her name.
Because she's 10 feet tall. Is that the lyrics you're talking about?
No, that all men fell in love with her when they saw her.
Oh, that was Helen of Troy. Okay.
Yeah. And she was divorced in her late 20s with 2 sons, but she had this huge, beautiful house on a lake. And I remember meeting her at the stables where we kept Charlie O, the mule. And the owner of the stables, she was there at the bar, and she did some kind of business. I never know what, but Mom had to drop some paperwork off for her once, so I still can't find anything out about her. But apparently she had black hair, long black hair, just gorgeous. And I heard she modeled part-time, and the owner of the modeling studio committed suicide, rumor is, because she broke up with him.
Oh. We'll do it.
Yes. And then apparently Dad was working late one night, and the A's weren't playing, so Mom, I don't know why, but she got a babysitter, and then she just went out driving around Kansas City. It's pretty big. And she found this bar with a gravel driveway, and she saw a familiar car, which was Dad's. So apparently Mom was in a raincoat and a scarf hiding curlers, and walked in and saw this gorgeous lady in the middle of the room dancing by herself while people watched.
And your dad was one of those watching, or
yes.
was he holding a raincoat?
He was one of those far in the back. And Mom, being in the Army, trained, she walked right up to that lady and grabbed her hair. Started screaming, "This better be over," and Dad ran out the back. So yes, I write about that.
Okay,
that sounds interesting.
Topic. Yes.
Oh.
Now, if you could segue to Ray Fosse from there, you've got something.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Well, Ray wouldn't know Alice. Unfortunately, I've asked some of our players back then, but
no, I just use him as try to bring a little levity after all my children.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm getting really excited every day about the team.
Oh yeah,
really going out. The A's are really spending money too.
Well, their payroll is around $65 million, and the A's are getting singled out. There was an article in the Chronicle by Susan Slusser the other day for not spending their revenue sharing checks. The A's are going to get, all the teams got $50 million from MLB because they sold something and they got some revenue. And then they're also getting 20 from the luxury tax, what they had, in their agreement. They're phasing that out. Oh, yeah. So they got $70 million before they even paid out a dime for payroll.
Wow.
And there are a couple of free agent pitchers out there that I think that could help the A's, but I don't know if they want to spend the money to do them. I think Alex Cobb is available, Lance Flynn is available. They're not going to go for Jake Arrieta. Well, Arrieta is going to cost them too much money. But I think Alex Cobb would be reasonable. And
well, the market has dropped so much that if they waited another couple of weeks, they could sign Arrieta.
Possible. Yeah, possible.
There was this collusion suit that was filed earlier in the week. And that may make, or at least force, the Major League owners another wink and a nod to, just throw some bucks out. We don't want the source.
But they're also dealing with Scott Boras. And remember one year, Stephen Drew, I think, came to play for the A's in 2012 at shortstop. And the A's went to the playoffs. Well, Drew was a free agent. The A's got him in a trade with the Diamondbacks, and then he was a free agent. And he didn't sign for 3 or 4 months. He missed half the season before he signed someone. Boras held him out. And so that's his
I would
tactic.
venture to say if you go to a major league they have this training camp, like a spring training camp for free agents, and they've closed it off to the press, and these guys go to work out. And I would venture to say this late in spring training that these players are chomping at the bits.
No question, Ralph. I would be too. It's your livelihood. Here you only got so many years.
For an athlete, they've already got as much money before they sign their next contract. They've already made as much money as they need for the rest of their life.
Are they motivated then?
Well, some do.
At this point, it's the athletic competition. It's all they do. It's all they know. Is baseball, and I'm not taking anything away from them as a well-rounded human being, but they depend on what they do. They take pride in what they do. They want to sign, and I think this could be like the beginning, not the end for Boras, because the players could say, what are you doing? You're not signing me. You got a big free agent class coming up next year. And in the meantime, because you want to inflate their value, you're messing with me. I'll bet that kind of conversation is going on, and there's going to be some drastic. Hey, they'll say they're offering me 12, and I want 15. Well, why? Well, let me take the 12. It's crazy for. I already make $12 million. Is that $3 million going to make a difference? I want to play ball because I want my career to go on.
Well, what they've done, Ralph, is they front-loaded the contracts, and they put incentives in the contract. They did that for Hosmer, and they did it for J.D. Martinez. Plus, they get option years. They get an option after 2 years, an option in 3 years. If they don't like it, they can go back on the free market and go back on free market if they have 2 monster years. Who knows what's going to happen? So that they're restructuring it.
The players' union and the players were such good negotiators, they would not have allowed the soft cap to come back in existence in the first place.
Right. There shouldn't be a soft cap. There should that luxury tax where it's $197 million creates a salary cap, and the players never ever wanted that. In 1994, I think Ricky Henderson was making $3 or $4 million. The average player was $1 million. And one of the sticking points was that the owners wanted the salary cap, and the players said no, under no circumstances. And of course, they lost the whole. On August 12th, they went on strike. They were at no World Series, 2 spring trainings in '95. It almost killed baseball. And they've had baseball peace now for 22, 23 years. And I hope that they don't screw it up again with their ridiculous demands. If an average salary is $8 million a year, you're doing pretty damn well.
Yes.
Okay, you're talking about screwing it up, and we'll get off the subject for one quick second, and I'll ask you. They are shooting up the flagpole to see if anybody will salute. A rule, something like an extra innings, your team can start out with if you're behind in extra innings, your team could, say the 8th, 9th, and 1st place batter were due up. You can make that your 3rd, 4th, and 5th batter coming up. They're shooting that up. They're going to try it in an all-star game, this, that, and the other thing. It's like a sudden death type thing to artificially inflate the excitement.
I don't know about that. I think that takes away from the game.
Of course. Would that bastardize the record book beyond recognition?
Probably.
I mean, as an old-line baseball fan, when is enough enough?
Well, I'm opposed to the fact that they're restricting the teams to 6 visits to the mound, and it counts if a catcher goes out to talk to the pitcher.
Whose idea was
right.
that?
It's nonsense. What are they going to do? Save 5? They're going to save 5 minutes in the game. Instead of going 3 hours and 2 minutes, it goes 2 hours and 57 minutes. It's ludicrous.
No. That's too micromanaging.
Basically,
micromanage. Oh my gosh.
Hey, you did some pretty fancy math there.
You like that?
I did like that. I was very impressed by that. Right off the top of your head, too, right? How did you read all those prescriptions all those years?
Very carefully.
In Latin, yeah.
Did you have to make a lot of calls to these schmecklers and say, you know what, you're very smart, but
yes,
learn to fucking write? Did you have to say...
Well, I got most of them, and if I couldn't read it, of course, I called them and I say, hey, I can't read it. I'm not going to fill it. I'm not going to guess. Call me back or let me know what it is.
Yeah.
And the receptionist would call back and say, I'm sorry, the doctor can't read, but now I've got it right.
I just say your patient's writhing on the floor and having spasms, so I think it's a good idea to get it for me.
Or do you carry me,
Hey, you know what I like too, and I've seen this in action. Every doctor I know and I don't go to doctors, but my very close friend tried to fill a prescription, and the doctor told her, it's a mild birth control thing, that maybe to alleviate my angst, says there are no side effects. This is a new thing no side effects.
None. No.
So
well, that's not true.
We meandered down to the drugstore, and I stood there. Well, I said, the doctor told her there are no side effects. And he had this look on his face like a smile, like, what are they going to say, and all that. If I put the word out there, and maybe you'll disagree. Out there to the audience, if you have a doctor that prescribes anything that needs a prescription and tells you there are no possible side effects, none of that, get another doctor.
Well, I agree with you, Ralph, because, and I dealt with this for so many years, there are side effects to every drug, and they can be mild and they can be severe. And it depends what it is. You take a new medicine, you can have nausea, you can have dizziness, you can have anxiety. Anything can happen. It can conflict with some of the other medications.
They never talk to you about, you drive with that stuff. You're a lousy enough driver just by being a human being. It's going to get worse if we put a drug in you.
Well, one of the things we used to have certain antihistamines that were on prescriptions, and then they went over the counter. And when they went over the counter, people go to the drugstore and they get these pills, and there'd be warning labels on the side of the package, but a lot of people didn't read them. And they take their medicine, and after work they go into a bar and have a drink or two, and it would react with the antihistamine to cause additional drowsiness. And now they had to drive home. So sometimes it was very similar to being under the influence of alcohol, and you could have an accident. And
especially if you mix those drugs with alcohol.
Like a DUI for an attorney, that would be, if it's 0.08, it could be worse. Even if it's 0.8, it could be worse if they took something like that.
No question. The mixture of the two, it doesn't show up, but it makes you more intoxicated.
Yeah.
Well, Ralph, I am going to have to say goodbye because I'm off to see a very nice young lady, 11-year-old young lady, who is going to be playing basketball this afternoon.
Oh,
now
okay.
Clarify that, please.
His granddaughter, I'm sure.
It's Isla's granddaughter.
Oh, okay.
All right,
yeah.
That's good enough. We don't want you. I know it's a long time between podcasts, and Jerry gets bored. But, don't we all, huh, Nancy?
Yes.
All right.
It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay, I'll talk to you next week.
Yes.
Regular time next week.
It's always fun. I enjoy your company more than you know.
Yeah, we'll talk a little A's baseball next week.
Okay, I better go. Right. I need to finish faxes for Morgan.
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
care.
ladies and gentlemen.
Bye-bye. I'm going to hang up.
Okay.
Hang up. I'm going to tell the audii that if they enjoy this or any of our podcasts on the network, please box up some lightly used children's books. Take them to the Head Start program in whatever community you live, and they will use those books by teaching kids to read, to use their imagination, to get their noses out of the games and the devices, to develop a passion to become school ready. It's very, very important that they get these books, because these kids that will need them more than you know. Right? It's the Head Start program, and our society is so messed up that the kids are our future, and they've got to be the one to save us. So do that for me. It would be appreciated. And Nancy, anything you want to close with? Anything you want to?
Just thank the audience for listening, being loyal listeners.
Right. Let's thank our last week's guest and invite him back.
Yes, John. John
Mr. Peterson.
He's so sweet. Yes.
He was terrific, and
a gentleman.
Always have a lot to talk about with him.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. And let's we will have more. We will have some exciting things too.
We will have it all, Nancy.
I know. Okay.
Put a little song to that. We sing it, Nancy. Take it.
I don't. I'm a terrible singer. I don't want to cause people not to tune in.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to hum a little song.
You know what? Next
time. Did you sing to the mule back in the day?
No, I gave him carrots and sugar cubes.
We have attempted to, maybe blow some smoke in the mule's face.
I talked to him. I would talk and read him the books I had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I visited him. He loved company, and he liked to snuggle with his big head. He was the size of an eraser.
How old were you at this time, and tell me what books you were reading, because I'm so curious about stuff.
I was, kindergarten, the way up until high school. But when I visited him, it was mostly when we were in Kansas City. Howard gave me my own horse, and I would go see Charlie O, and I would take the book.
And you'd read to him.
Yeah.
So you can attribute to how important reading is to a young person's development.
Well, yeah. Oh, I was an only child, and my parents had all studied ancient Greek when they met. Yeah. Oh, yes. Books were always around.
Nancy, do you remember the book My Brother Was an Only Child by Jack Douglas?
No. I had one called Only Child. I don't know what happened to it. I think
Jack Douglas and his lovely wife, I think her name was Yono, and Japanese woman. They'd always be on Jack Parr. And he wrote a number of books. Never Trust a Naked Bus Driver. Another one of his. Anyway, you bring back good memories to their days, Nancy, and I want to thank you. It's been fun.
It is fun.
We're all going to get together, the three of us, and have lunch in Alameda really soon.
I would love that. Okay, and I'll
bring
have
our
more
respective mates.
I'll have more
Talk
for you.
soon, gentlemen and ladies in the audience. And thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Adios, everybody. Come back next week.